There's been a massive trend of young guys not entering the labor force. They're not getting jobs. They're not getting internships. They're just kind of chilling. And a lot of old heads just cannot possibly comprehend why young guys would not want to start producing capital and saving for, a 4-bedroom house. It's the completely reasonable price of $8 million a day. And I think the main problem is just the incentive structure.
Yeah.
Our grandparents, our dad's generation, they kind of had this unspoken agreement with society where if they worked hard, they got a job, they kind of put the grind in, they would probably be able to find a good wife that will stay with them, that will not rip them to shreds in the divorce courts and take their kids and have their assets. And they would also have a company that would kind of stick with them through the ups and downs. They would be able to have a secure job, and they didn't really have all the competition we have today with illegal immigrants, with mass legal immigration of all these people from India and China, these highly skilled, the cream of the crop from other countries are now coming to America and stealing a lot of the highly intensive IQ jobs, big law, tech, medicine.
What he's saying is true, but I'd be careful using the word steal because they're not stealing. They're just out-competing. Now, I will say I understand what he's saying because as an American, you would assume that since your ancestors died in wars and have been paying taxes for generations, you would get some type of priority when it came to these types of jobs. But you don't want to start using words like steal and getting upset at the East Asians. I'm going to just tell you right now, if you're an American and you're focusing on your mental health, you're not going to be able to compete against the East Asian. Those people are very highly focused and they're very grateful to be in the country and to get the opportunities that they have, and they're not going to waste it talking about or complaining about mental health. East Asians are damn near half calculator. They operate like computers. Now, not very creative people, I must say, but when given a task and a structure, a hierarchy with clear incentives and clear goals, you're not out-competing the East Asians. But you shouldn't be angry at the East Asians for taking opportunities that are given to them. You should be angry at the government and the companies for not prioritizing the people of this country when they use the infrastructure that we use our tax money to pay. Due to globalization, companies are no longer loyal to the countries that they operate in. They are their own countries at this point.
There's no sort of home court advantage for the American young guy anymore. If you're an American white young guy, kind of like me, I have a lot of things going for me, but even in my position, there are still a lot of things that are kind of slanted against me, where our dad's generation, granddad's generation, they kind of had privilege. White privilege was definitely a thing back then. Nowadays, you have to work even harder than minorities. You have to say that you're some sort of trans Native American descendant or something like that to get into a top university, to get into these top jobs. And it just doesn't really make sense to grind so freaking hard as a young guy when you don't feel like you're going to be able to get a girlfriend or have a successful marriage or have a company that will stay loyal to you. You're always dispensable. We've seen these layoffs, just like a light switch with these companies. It seems like the most efficient kind of path forward is just to not delay gratification and just enjoy life right now, which usually includes for young guys smoking and drinking, playing video games, and just kind of enjoying life while you can, because we don't really feel like the future is very bright for us, and we don't feel like this kind of unspoken social contract that our dads and our grandparents had with the American economy. It's been completely shattered for us. I do not have good faith that a company will do what's right by me. And I've seen a lot of companies kind of hate me. I'm a Christian, conservative, white guy, and that's
Stop, Esau. Hey, giving all praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh, by Shem Hawashah, by Shem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders that we well. Peace and many salutations to your encounters, told in the truth. Now, isn't it so ironic that Esau is feeling this way about the workforce? That he's a oppressed minority, and that he's not going to get a fair shake in the workforce. Now, when Jake was in straits, and she was still in straits, alluding to the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, that word straits means in a difficult situation, of our certain legislations that was, passed to keep us basically second class citizens, alluding to Jim Crow, certain Jim Crow laws, that basically prohibit us from having access to certain privileges that Esau Edom had. We were told that, you guys just have to work harder. You have to just try harder. Stop being so ghetto. Stop being so negative. This is America. If you want to make it, you can make it. Now you have a substantial amount of so-called white people who are disenfranchised with um, the whole concept of working a 9 to 5, and even the family nucleus. People are starting to see, in particular so-called white men are starting to see that getting married it's not advantageous here because of certain um, rights, so-called rights that were given to women, that makes it easier for them to divorce their carnal partner and take the money via and children via what alimony, via child support, you know under the guise of feminism. you know and feminism, if you've done research on it, feminism now is in this so-called fourth phase where there's emphasis in sexual exploration, and that sexual exploration you know goes into not only sleeping with as many people as you would like to, but exploring the alphabet community. Okay, so within this exploration going on, uh the so-called young white male has been xed out, and this is something that we have always endured. The so-called Negro, Latino, Native American male. This is something we've always endured. Our women have always you know looked at us as if we were inferior. In particular, the so-called black men. We uh, they've always looked at us as if we was always inferior to you know um, the so-called white male, because of basically the lack of income, which is important. The lack of resources, man. When we were brought over here, and also my people, Northern tribe, Seminole Indian, so-called Reubenite. Well, so-called Seminole, I'm a Reubenite. We didn't have any way to protect ourselves and our assets and our resources, our children from Esau Edom. So of course, women are going to go with the power. Women are going to, go with the person or entity or structure that has the most resources. And look down on those who don't. It's natural for women to follow money, follow power. You know, we didn't have it. We still don't. Yet, it's fast forward in contemporary times. You have so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans that are doing substantially better than so-called white males, especially young white males. Why is that? Because we understand that this place is rigged, and we have made strong endeavors. The word endeavors means strong attempts, strong endeavors to place ourselves, in a better position, monetarily speaking. You know, the playing fields of the economy of the workforce has been, somewhat been made even. And what are you starting to see? Well, you're starting to see so-called white males act like wiggers, act like white N-words, if you get my drift. You know, giving up, you know, staying at their mama house, you know, drinking and smoking all day, playing video games, you know, uh, basically being losers, man. On drugs. Oh my goodness. You go to places like Oregon, like Portland, Oregon, you go to Seattle. Even down here in Texas, I've never seen so many young white homeless males before in my life, you know. In the Dallas area, this is a conservative place here. You know, they're supposed to be a white conservative and, you know, about Jesus and all that. And these guys are giving up. You guys are giving up on life and living a life of nihilism, which I love to bring that word out. Um, I'm gonna get that for you guys, you know, real quickly, because that word nihilism basically goes into, you know, living a life for no meaning, you know. And you can blame this on, you know, you can blame this on the ways, the culture of Esau Edom. See, Esau wants to put blame on other people for its plight. Right, that word plight means, you know, a strong, a sad situation, sad setting. Right, Esau Edom wants to blame other people for its plight, like, oh, it's the immigrants' fault, or it's blacks, or, you know, it's Mexicans. And in all actuality, the thing that you despise the most, you know, comes from your culture, your ways, right? So we're starting to see that Esau Edom's ways is falling on itself, right? His tongue is falling on itself, okay? His ways, right? It's devouring it, okay? Now, this word nihilism is a philosophical viewpoint that rejects fundamental aspects of human existence, such as knowledge, morality, or meaning. It's often associated with extreme pessimism and radical skepticism. And this is what we see. People are skeptical of the life here in Babylon the Great. And again, this has to do with the image of the beast, which we know that the image of the beast is Western culture, right? Now, again, Esau Edom, he wants to quantify his anger and blame it on other people because we know that he's the devil, right? And he's, you know, can't take accountability of his ways, right? So he's naturally going to, you know, want to place blame on somebody else so he could use it as rationalization to harm someone else. But in all actuality, it's his own culture that's detrimental unto him. So let's get to some scriptures, okay? Now, this is Isaiah 26, verse 10. Let favor be shewed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of Yahweh. That's right. So, favor was showed unto Esau Edom, you know. Yet he didn't work, you know, righteous acts in this land, you know. And because of that, the Most High is judging, you know, Esau Edom's posterity, or his, you know, his children. You got to think, man, when you, how can I put this? When you travel the U.S., you understand how big, how vast this place is and how much resources this place has. Esau Edom came over here, you know, from North, you got to think from North America which starts in Canada, all the way down to South America, in the islands. This man committed atrocities, throughout these various continents, set up his hegemony, right? Displaced millions of people, oppressed millions of people, destroyed millions of people throughout centuries, and put himself, in doing so, put himself as the dominant race for centuries, right? For centuries, this man was able to eat off of one resources of the land, including the people. People are resources, right? This man set up a neo-caste system, which a caste system is basically a hierarchy of people, right? This man was put himself as the top race under the whole concept of the term white, right, which we know is a social construct that Elder Malcolm from Chicago goes into this often, right? Which really was birthed from the whole pseudoscience of anthropology, starting with guys like Carl Linnaeus, Johann Blumenbach, which is the father of anthropology, right? And within doing so, this man was able to live a very comfortable life for quite a while. Yet, even within this prosperity, fast forward, you look at all the decadence and all the, basically complaining that's going on now from his own people. And again, this has to do with Western culture, right? The image of the beast spoken about in Revelation being set up. So this man was showed favor. He was able to rule. Yet, look at the product of his rulership, man. Nothing but death and destruction, including on his own people. Okay? Jeremiah 49, 7 through 10. Concerning Edom, thus said Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? And Teman is a city in Edom. Okay? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is the wisdom vanished? Which is a rhetorical question, right? So, like, when you look at this place, when you look at America, you would ask this question, like, whoa, how is this logical? What's going on? Right? How is it logical for a young boy to change himself to a young girl because that's what he feels like that day? How is that advantageous for society? Right? Right? How is it prudent for a nation not to produce anything, right, as far as goods, right, but place various industries that produce things like shoes and things of that nature in third world countries, and dictate the contracts of these various industries, with a fiat currency, with a currency that has no value, right? Get cheap labor, get cheap goods, sell it to your own people. How would that be productive in the future? When these various nations understand what you're doing and make endeavors to get away from the strength of your currency. How is that going to be advantageous for you in the future? It's not, right? Your biggest asset is the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans. Why would you place them as second, keep them in perpetual oppression when you could, put them in a situation to where they will produce more, right, and be a better asset for you? But you put them in a situation to where they are in perpetual poverty. Okay, how is that going to be advantageous for you? Well, it's not, right? And also, in spiritually speaking, hey, you're oppressing the Most High people. So definitely, it's not going to be advantageous for you. You had opportunity to make things right, but yet you didn't, because ultimately, the Most High is not dealing with you. And if the Most High is not dealing with you, you're not going to be prudent. So all these things are going on because the wisdom, again, emphasizing this, the wisdom of Esau Edom has failed them. Okay? Verse 8. Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of the Don, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. If grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaming grapes? If these by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. So the Most High has made this place very bare with the very various policies that he had implemented. Right? Now you have, basically a substantial amount of so-called white men that are entitled and don't want to work for a certain price, right? One, because the cost of living is so damn high, and two, they don't have anything to work for. They don't have a family to work for, right? So there's a dismantling in, the social fabric of this place, right? What do I mean by that? Things that were set up in the past that encourage family is no longer seen here. The gentleman in the video, if I would have kept playing, says man work for love. That's how men express love, by working, by producing. But when you take that away from the man, what does he have, right? These young men, they don't want to get in relationships with these women. You know what I'm saying? Because these women are sluts, all of them, whether it be white, black, if they were born in this Western way, they're not good wives, right? So the family, so social fabric of this place has been totally destroyed, and that makes people, clock out. These young men are clocking out. They don't have anything to live for, man. Okay, and again, you could blame that on the ideology of the West, or the image of the beast, or that wine that is spoken about, in Jeremiah the 5th chapter, the philosophy of this place. It has made even its own seed, Esau Edom's seed, corrupt. They're spoiled. They're in straits, and nobody has done anything to them, right? But it's their own tongues, their own ways falling on themselves, man. Okay? Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 41:5-7. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they are conversing in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and the prosperity shall have a perpetual reproach. That means that children will have a perpetual reproach. See, now Esau Edom has done all these things. Esau Edom is now starting to be called out, man. Right? Everybody's starting to look at Esau Edom as the problem. Right? As the council of the world, right? As people who go around the world and and oppress. And now the posterity or the children of Esau Edom is starting to feel the discrimination, if you will, for lack of a better term, or the indignation of the people. And he can't take it, right? Again, the playing field of the workforce has been made more equal, and this man is clocking out, But he said it himself. Esau said it himself, man. 80 years ago, man, I would have easily got into a company, that would have treated me right because of white privilege. Well, that white privilege is gone, and we're starting to see how weak Esau Edom is, man. Okay. And you could blame that on your forefathers. This is how we know that reincarnation is real, man. Verse 7, the children will complain of an ungodly father because they shall be reproached for his name's sake. Psalm 64, 2-8. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. The word whet is spelled WHIT, which means to sharpen. They sharpen their tongue like a sword to tear us down. We were deemed as subhuman. We were deemed as inferior. Okay. We were deemed as undesirables. We were deemed as innate criminals, barbarians. Okay, by Esau Edom, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans, which consists of the true Israelites. We were deemed all these things, man. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Right? Right? They did this wickedness to us and placed us, and again, in the neo-caste systems where, we were, marginalized to the lower level jobs, man, here. Okay? White collar jobs, we were prohibited from being doctors and lawyers, things of that nature. They didn't want Jake doing those things, man. Okay? Verse 5, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of land, snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They do that with their legislation. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thoughts of every one of them, and their heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. So these various policies, of eugenics, right? Eugenics is the policy of, extinguishing the undesirable genes of society and, proliferate or increase the genes that are deemed as most desirable, which in times past we were seen as the undesirables. Now, Esau Edom, the masses, right, the middle class, the lower class Esau Edom, is seen as undesirable by the elite. And now the various policies that were used to destroy us is now being used to destroy that middle class, right? The upper middle class of Esau Edom. Okay, so hey, Esau, get over it. Get over it, Esau. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Stop complaining and go get a job, boy. Shalom.